Welcome to the Smarter Driver Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Rick August, and here we're going to get you on the road to becoming a safer, smarter driver. And no, my degree is not in driving. My degree, in fact, is in legal history, which many of you know is the study of policing, courts, and prisons. My expertise is in policing as it relates to traffic. Here, we're going to look at the fundamental conflict of traffic, which is collisions versus congestion. And we're going to look at the arena of social driving, the challenges you face as a driver, the challenges you face when getting a license or starting a career as a truck or bus driver. The car's all gassed up, we're ready to go. Let's get started. Hi there, smart drivers, talking to you tonight about passing your driver's test first time, the skills, abilities, and knowledge that you need to get your license and be successful in passing first time, because the thought of failing really sucks. So let's get started right now. Passing your driver's test first time, we're going to give you the tips, skills, and abilities that you need to pass your driver's test first time and be successful. For those of you new to Smart Drive Test, my name is Rick August. I drove truck in the 1990s from Canada into the United States, mostly east of the Mississippi. I did make it out to the western states a few times, New Mexico, California, Nevada, Oregon, and the other western states. I became a licensed commercial driving instructor in 1997. 2006, I graduated with a doctorate degree from the University of Melbourne. My degree is in legal history, which is the study of policing, courts, and prisons. And my expertise is in policing as it relates to traffic, oddly enough. While I was going to university, I drove buses for Greyhound, so I have bus experience as well. And then in 2015, I started the YouTube channel, The Online Business, and it has been wildly more successful than I could have imagined. And if you want to know more about me, you can check out the autobiography over at the Smart Drive Test website. New video this week, the on-road Class A DMV test, driving the truck. And showing you how to drive the truck. I had an interesting comment from somebody on TikTok who said that you don't swing left to go right. And I had to reply and say, in a big truck, you have to move the truck left to go right because you're pulling a 48 or 53 foot trailer and you have a lot of off-tracking. Off-tracking simply means that the trailer tires are going to go on a different, much shorter path than those of the steer tires of the truck. So you have to compensate for that off-tracking. The way you do that is by moving left to turn right. As I was very fond of telling students that the truck can go anywhere on the roadway so long as you keep the trailer in the lane and not up on the curb or sidewalk. So that's what you need to do. Have a look at that video. First thing you need to do to pass your driver's test and be successful is pass the knowledge test. The knowledge test contains all kinds of information, signs, signals, road marking, terminology about right-of-way, complex intersections, painted islands, slip lanes, attitude, controls of the vehicle, the secondary and primary controls. So there is a lot of information on the knowledge test. And one of the tips about passing your learner's test, taking the theory test, is do not read the driver's handbook from cover to cover. It is boring. It will cure insomnia, no doubt. Go to the website, the internet, type into Google or whichever search engine you use, practice driving test questions for your state or province. Do those. Identify the gaps in your knowledge and then go back to the handbook and look up the specific areas that you were weak on. When you were getting 80 to 90% consistently on the tests online, then you're ready to go into the DMV and write your theory test. And as well, there's a playlist here for tips and techniques and strategies to pass your learner's test. Corey will put that up for you as well. They'll also talk about and ask you about right-of-way and the driving task on the learner's test, the learner's permit test. The four major components of any driver's test are going to be speed management, space management, observation, and communication, because you are working in the arena of social driving. Social driving is what other drivers do every day. They drive faster than the posted speed limit. They drive on painted islands. They don't come to complete stops at stop-signed intersections. If you do any of that, you will not be successful on passing your driver's test. So you almost have to drive in a different manner than what the rest of people are doing. And if you mimic what they're doing, you're not going to be successful on your driving test. Trey, thank you for the super chat, my friend. That is awesome, and I look forward to having that coffee. I'm working on a book right now called Driving Test Secrets. I did something the other day I haven't done in a very long time. I went and sat in a coffee shop and actually worked on my book. I felt very bohemian. It was quite fun. Learning faster. One of the ways to learn faster is to concentrate on slow speed maneuvers at the beginning of your learning. Get some pylons, go to the parking lot, do parallel parking, 3-point turn, stall parking, 2-point reverse turn, and U-turn. These are the maneuvers that you could potentially be asked to do on your driver's test. You know, the saying about 20% in, 80% out, the whole 20-80 rule that, 20% of the world's population owns 80% of the real estate. Well, this is similar. Slow speed maneuvers are to driving what scales are to music. If you focus on the slow speed maneuvers working in the parking lot, you will gain mastery of the primary controls, the steering wheel, the brake, and the gas pedal, and you will learn where your vehicle is in relation to other things. And when you get on the roadway, it's going to be much easier if you have focused on this initially. Requirements of a road test: holding your vehicle in the lane, observing, and shoulder checking. And if you're taking notes, put quotation marks around shoulder checking, put it in capitals, and highlight it, because shoulder checking, shoulder checking, shoulder checking in combination with signaling. I cannot stress this enough. Your job is to read and respond to changing traffic conditions, because traffic will change. You will be on different roadways. There will be different vehicles and those types of things. And if you're in doubt, you have no idea what to do, the traffic situation becomes completely overwhelming, simply stop. And there are going to be unexpected events on your driver's test. One of those potentially could be emergency vehicles. If there are emergency vehicles, if you're not at an intersection, come to a stop completely, move to the nearest shoulder. If you're at an intersection, sometimes it's best just to stay stopped. Abilities for the road test: 2 hands on the steering wheel for the duration of the test, unless you are shifting gears. I applaud you and hats off to you if you are going to do your driver's test in a manual transmission. I know that most in Europe are laughing at those of us in North America, because all of them are taking their driver's test in a manual transmission. Stopping in a line of traffic: you must stop approximately 1 vehicle length behind the vehicle in front of you. And if you've been here for a while, you've heard me say repeatedly, stop so you can see the tires of the vehicle in front making clear contact with the pavement. Stopping at correct positions at controlled intersections: before the stop line, before the crosswalk or sidewalk. The crosswalk lines out on the roadway. If those 2 conditions don't exist, then at the edge of the road where the 2 roads meet, just before entering the intersection. Yellow traffic lights: you have to have enough practice that you know whether you're going to go through or stop for a yellow traffic light, because if you go through and the examiner looks up through the top of the windshield, sees the light go to red, that's going to be a fail on your driver's test. And then, of course, right of way, particularly at 2-way intersections as opposed to 4-way intersections. Slow speed maneuvers, we already went over this. After you've been driving for a while, I encourage you to go back to the parking lot and revisit the slow speed maneuvers: the parallel parking, the reverse stall parking, 3-point turn, 2-point reverse turn. For a driver's test, at minimum, you are going to back into a parking space, you're going to do parallel parking, and you're going to do the 3-point turn. At minimum, be ready with those 3 maneuvers. There's only 3 states that I'm aware of that you do not parallel park. That is the state of California, the state of Ohio, and the state of Maryland. In Maryland, they do a 2-point reverse turn, which is backing around a corner. In the state of Ohio, they do an Ohio maneuverability test. Corey will put that video up for you as well. And then in California, they get you to back along the curb for approximately 50 feet. Some DMVs in Oregon will also get you to back along a curb. Everywhere else, you're required to do parallel parking. So know that for the purposes of your test. Driving lessons. If you're not taking driving lessons, at least book 1 driving lesson. The return on investment is incredibly high. Driving instructors will take you on the test route, and they will show you where the examiners are going to do the maneuvers that you need to do for the purposes of your driver's test. You can take individual lessons. You can take a whole you can buy a package, 10 lessons, and they will take you out and train you in those types of things. Some people, unfortunately, do not have mentors or for whatever reason can't get somebody to go with them. So they need a package and they need to learn everything they need to do to pass their driver's test with the driving instructor. Unfortunately, that's expensive. Okay? I know that most students who are working towards their driving test start driving 6 to 8 weeks before their license for whatever reason. They don't spend as much time practicing and driving as they should or could because most people have their learners for 180 days, which is half a year, 6 months to 1 year. You're required to have that as part of the GLP or the GDL program, the Graduated Driver's Licensing Program. Try to get as much practice as you can in different vehicles and different driving environments and different driving situations. Try to get experience driving on interstates and freeways in heavy congested traffic at night in inclement weather. All of this is going to make you a safer, smarter driver. Ariel here in the picture, who I helped to get her license, had been out driving with her dad on the logging roads before she came to me and started driving and learning the nuances and the details of passing a driver's test. She was an excellent driver because she'd already driven a lot before she got to me. Okay? The good, the bad, and the ugly of driver's test is that sometimes bad drivers pass a driver's test because everything in the driving environment goes swimmingly. There is nothing unexpected that they have to deal with. And unfortunately, sometimes students who should pass their driver's test don't pass because something unexpected in the driving environment happens and they can't deal with it in a manner that is safe. So know that just because you failed your driver's test doesn't mean that you're a bad driver, and it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with the driving examiner's decision that he or she made. So don't get mad at them, okay? The days leading up to the driver's test. As I said, if you're not taking driving lessons, book a practice driving test with a driving instructor and book it 3 weeks out because they're busy, especially right now with post-pandemic DMVs trying to catch up with backlogs and those types of things. Book your practice driving test 7 to 10 days before your driver's test. And I encourage you to do this because if you fail your driver's test, it takes a long time to rebuild your confidence, and it might even take you a long time to rebook a test. Some places it takes a long time, other places not so much. So that will kind of depend. A driving instructor will assess your ability and provide the details for the driver's test. And this is valuable information. All right. Edna, my favorite animated character, darling. Luck favors the prepared. Learn the basics, okay? Be prepared. And you must master the basic skills. Handling the steering wheel, the brake, and the throttle, the gas pedal. And know the fundamentals of turning, driving, handling different situations and different roads and traffic situations and those types of things. Your job is to demonstrate to the examiner that you have due care and control of the vehicle in changing traffic conditions. All right? On test day, get a good night's sleep, eat your breakfast, bring documentation, your license, a piece of ID, government ID, bring an extra one just in case. If you wear prescription glasses and are a requirement of your driving license, make sure you bring your glasses. If you need sunglasses and can't see in bright sunny days, then bring your sunglasses, okay? It's a myth when driving instructors tell you can't wear sunglasses. That's bupkis. Okay, back into the parking space at the DMV unless signs prohibit you from doing that. And then when you're on your driver's test sitting beside the examiner, make sure that you keep going. Even if you think you made a mistake, the mistake you think you made, the examiner may or may not have seen it. So keep going until the examiner tells you to stop. Make sure that you clean your vehicle, especially post-pandemic. Make sure it's clean, okay? Make sure that you do the pre-trip inspection. Corey will put up the video for you on the pre-trip inspection as well. Okay? Your job is to take away the examiner's right to fail you. Nothing less, nothing more. That's it. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. There we go. And Trey, thank you once again for the super chat there. That is awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to my coffee and working on the book again. The name of the book is Driving Test Secrets. I basically took some information that I present to you all the time. All of the information that I just presented here, I fleshed it out. Nice subtitles, images, Emphasize text, a little bit of humor in the text, repetition. Instead of taking the repetition out, I just keep telling you that I'm repeating the same thing over and over again, which is to practice in and around the test center where you're going to be taking your test. And if you're taking your test on a Thursday, practice on a Thursday at 10 a.m. if your test is at 10 a.m. All right. If you're taking your test on the weekend, because I know that there are some DMVs and test centers that are open on the weekend, then practice on Saturday at the time that you're going to be taking your test. Valuable, valuable information for being successful on passing your driver's test. As well, know where the schools are, because school is in session right now. You'll be dealing with school speed zones. If you speed in a school speed zone, automatic fail on a driver's test. I can tell you that right now. You speed in a school zone, just be like, yeah, you can turn right here. Yeah, we're heading back to the test center. Thanks very much. You can book another test inside. However, other places, New York now does not give you results right away when you get back to the test center. You have to go after your test, log on to the DMV website after 6 p.m., and then you'll find out your results for your test. The reason they do that is because, unfortunately, people have failed their driver's test and then they abuse the examiner. And because of the threat and danger to driving examiners when they tell students that they failed, they no longer do that. So, Teddy, if I don't double clutch and I float the gears, can I still pass? Teddy, you can. You definitely can. I've had lots of drivers who've come back who have lots of experience of floating the gears. They can definitely pass their driver's test. And I've had this question, why do we teach double clutching in a big truck? The reason that we teach double clutching is because it's faster. Using the clutch the transmission is more forgiving. And because it's more forgiving, students pick up shifting faster. The other reason that we teach them double clutching is because if you go to a company, especially when you start driving, you're going to be slip-seated. Slip-seated means you're going to be in a different truck all the time. You're not going to be in the same truck. If you're in the same truck all the time, it's easy to float the gears because you get used to the truck and the nuances and details of those types of things. So you can do that. So there's two reasons. First one, it's quicker to learn. Second reason is if you're in different trucks all the time, it's just easier to double clutch and you're going to get a better shift in different trucks and it's going to be more consistent for you than it is trying to float the gears. All right. Montes, road test is a piece of cake, but I can't get past the cones. Any tips? Yes, definitely have a look at the videos on passing the maneuverability test. Go slow. Figure out where the maneuverability tests are. And the number one tip that I give you for the maneuverability test is when you're reversing, because obviously it's a lot harder when you're reversing, stay tight on the driver's side. Okay, you can be 6 to 8, 10 inches on the driver's side. If you stay tight on the driver's side, the passenger side will take care of itself. Okay, but stay tight to the cones on the driver's side. Trey, yes, I got a question. I failed my last driving test. A big truck was parked on the side of the road and blocking the stop sign, so I missed the shoulder check. Was wondering how many shoulder checks to use. Okay, so Trey, that's a bit complicated because you've got the big truck at the intersection. So what you're going to need to do is if you have that again with the big truck at the intersection, you need to move left. Mirror signal shoulder check, because it's just like changing lanes. You need to move into the other lane and then come up. And if you're at an intersection where the big truck is, then you need to creep up and make sure and be looking in front of the truck to see whether there's a sign there and what that sign is for controlling the traffic. Corey will put the video out for you on changing lanes or moving around objects and big objects and those types of things. But, you know, if you're at an intersection and your vision is obstructed, then you have to go slow until you can see. It's the same defensive driving strategy that any time that your vision is blocked and you can't see, go slow until you can see. It's another situation of driving would be if you're backing out of a parking space at a parking lot and you kind of can't see because there's a big van on this side and there's a big SUV on that side and you're kind of backing up. You got to creep back, creep until you're past them, and then you can see and then you go, but you just kind of creep out. It's the same thing if you're coming up to an intersection and something's blocking your vision. Mallory, what happens on a road test if you make a wrong turn? That's an excellent question, Mallory. It's up to the examiner to get you back. You're not going to fail your driver's test because the examiner told you to go right and you accidentally went left, okay? That's up to the examiner. Students are going to make mistakes every now and again. You're nervous on a driver's test and those types of things, but you will not fail. As I said, it's up to the driving examiner to get you back to where you need to go. Joe, my son had about 300 to 400 hours of experience before he did his G2. This was because of COVID and was a real pain. But on the plus side, he was so competent that he aced the test first time too. Yeah, Joe, the more experience that you can get behind the wheel, the better you are. And this is something else that has changed in the last half century with drivers. When I grew up, probably when you grew up, Joe, and other people of my age, probably Big Mac Sam as well, who's here from the Bronx. Big Mac Sam is a driving instructor there. We have videos we did together last fall there in the borough of the Bronx in New York City, so have a look at those. The thing that's changed is many of us grew up on farms. I grew up on a farm. From the time I was like 10 years old, I was driving lawn tractors and bicycles and motorcycles and tractors and all kinds of equipment. So by the time I got the license to going for my driver's license, I mean, I needed some skills and those types of things, but driving a car was not a big deal. I already driven so much equipment. Drivers now are growing up in cities, and when they come to driving, they have absolutely zero experience driving a car. They have no experience. They have no transferable skills. I mean, they may have ridden a bicycle, but for many people, they don't have any transferable skills to driving a car. So when they get in to drive the car, it's brand new. George, hey Rick, I'm going for my road test after driving for my 9.5 months. I'm going to do everything to pass my test. That's awesome, George. Congratulations. Grant, what is cop speed tolerance in BC, and do they ticket for the flow of traffic? Grant, not as a rule. They don't ticket you for driving the traffic flow. In my experience, they don't ticket you for driving the traffic flow anywhere. And there's usually a 5 mile an hour tolerance. If you're 5 miles an hour above the speed limit. Now, I can't say this as gospel. I'm just saying this from my own experience, that it's 5 miles an hour or it's 10 kilometers an hour here in Canada that you can drive above the speed limit. And generally, police will not pull you over or ticket you. Now, saying that, a friend of mine the other day, we have a stretch of road here, number 6 highway, where it's 50 kilometers an hour, and everybody in town goes through there at 60, 70, 80 kilometers an hour. Well, he got ticketed the other day for doing 77 and a 50, which, you know, that hurts. Definitely when most of the traffic is doing that speed limit in that section of road anywhere. Gamer, what to do if I am at a stop sign and I need to make a right turn, but I can't see past parked cars on my left to see if anyone is coming from my left side. All right, so Gamer, you come up to the intersection, and basically what you're saying is over here on the left side, my left, this would be your left, over there's parked cars and you can't see. So basically you stop at the correct stopping position. So if it's a stop sign intersection, you're probably going to have a stop line or you're going to have a sidewalk. So you stop there and then you creep forward past the cars until you can see. And you do not commit until you can see and you know that the way is clear. And again, the video that I did with Sam in the Bronx there, heaps and heaps of parked cars right up to the corner. Definitely have a look at that video, and that will give you more detail on answering that question for you and showing you how to proceed. All right, that'll really help you out. Precious, dash cam, and I still can't back up. You have a backup camera, then definitely get some of those pylons, the 1 meter, 3 feet tall delineators, and go and work in a parking lot. That will definitely help you out with your backing up. Or find an alleyway. This is another exercise that I like to do. Have a look at the driving lessons with Ariel. Corey will put those up for you. And I get my students to back straight up along an alley. And that straight line backing will really help you with your reversing as well. So do that. Gamer, am I allowed to back up if I am too far out? Absolutely not. Never, ever back up, especially on a driver's test. You will fail. So know that. And I see drivers do this all the time. I watched somebody do it yesterday. I was walking back from downtown after I was coming back from my very bohemian experience of working in a coffee shop and writing on my laptop. backing up. They were too far at the intersection. They were out into the crosswalk, and then the light changed and they backed up at the intersection. Don't do that. Okay? You can only go forward. Driving on a roadway is like time. You can only go forward. You cannot back up. Okay? It's just simply too dangerous to back up when you're driving. So don't do that. Garden State, hello, my friend. How are you? And Big Mac Sam is saying the Bronx videos are great. They are really great and really helpful, so definitely have a look at those. Precious, on a road test, do they always take you out on a road, or do they have a course set up behind or near their building? Precious, some places do have a closed circuit testing. Most of the closed circuit testing is now gone with pandemic, hopefully being over. So most places you're now going to go out on the roadway for your driver's test. Mallory, when I was a kid, I would drive my grandmother's ride-on lawnmower around her backyard. Yeah, and that is great transferable skills for getting into a car and learning how to drive. If you can get on a lawnmower, your bicycle, those types of things. As I said, I worked on a farm, so I drove all kinds of tractors and farm equipment and those types of things. So probably not a big surprise that I went on to get my truck driving license, because it wasn't really a big deal for me because I had driven massive equipment on the farm when I was younger and working as a teenager. So driving a tractor trailer wasn't a big deal for me, and nobody had to teach me how to double clutch. I already knew how to do it. John, do you have a video on how to turn left or right properly? Yes, we do have those videos as well. Actually, I think we have a whole playlist on both turning left and turning right. So Corey will put those up for you as well, John. 718, can you do another video with how to drive in inclement weather, especially rain? It's so difficult to see the lines. Yes, we can definitely do that for you, 718. I'll put that on the list. The next time it rains here, I'll get the cameras out and do that video for you. And probably what I'm going to do as well with the inclement weather raining video is split it up into a basic, for beginners, and then I'll do an advanced one as well. But definitely a couple of things: keeping the windows clear. Make sure you have good windshield wipers on our vehicles. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that's easy to kind of let go on your vehicle. It's like, my windshield wipers are probably 3-4 years old now. And I did a video on it when I put those windshield wipers on the buggy. They were Trico Force. I recommend the Trico Force. And not only were they great windshield wipers, they were a little bit more expensive, but they've lasted. Like I said, it's been 3 years now, because it was pre-pandemic when I put those windshield wipers on the vehicle. So Corey will put the video up for those, and you can have a look at those windshield wipers and consider them for your vehicle. Have good windshield wipers. You'll need to know how to turn on the defrost in your car. If the air conditioning doesn't come on, turn that on as well, because that will pull the moisture out of the cabin of the vehicle, and roll one of your windows down a little bit to get some air circulation in the cabin of the vehicle. All of that will help you out. Now, one other thing, and actually I'll put a picture of this up on the website, the Smart Drive Test website. I'll write an article about it. Is many cars have a cabin filter, okay? The circulation. So when you turn on your heater, you turn on your air conditioning, that air is pulled in from outside and it's pushed through a filter. It's called the cabin filter. That cabin filter should be changed every couple of years, every 40,000 miles. And for whatever reason, I had one in the buggy and I changed it 5 years ago, and I kind of forgot about it. And in the wintertime, it got cold, like super cold here, like minus 34 degrees Celsius, which is minus 34 degrees Fahrenheit. And the defrost in the car wasn't really working as well as it could have. And a few weeks ago on March break, we went to Calgary. And I thought, okay, I better do some work on the buggy before we go, some maintenance and those types of things. And I pulled the cabin filter out. Well, the cabin filter was completely blocked, like black, some dead bugs in it. I think there was a dragonfly in there as well. So, if you haven't had your cabin filter done in your vehicle in a couple, 2-3 years, you might want to invest the money in doing that. Now, most vehicles, it's fairly easy to do. It's a little finicky in the buggy. It takes about a half an hour to kind of get everything apart because it's in behind the glove box in the car. But you can do it yourself. I mean, if you're pretty good at wielding sockets and those types of things, and you can YouTube it and whatnot, and look and have somebody show you how to do that. But if your defrost isn't working and you're driving in the rain and the glass isn't getting cleared out, that might be your problem, because that was definitely my problem. So do that every couple of years. Mark, there is so many people that don't know about the cabin filter. Yes, Mark, that's absolutely true. And it needs to be done more than every 5 years for sure. Same thing with your engine air filter. I have put in a K&N filter, which is a recyclable filter, and it's a filter that you can actually clean. And I clean it in the spring and I clean it in the fall. I really like them because I don't have to, be throwing out filters for my vehicle. Cooking, I've been practicing parallel parking with 2 cones. Is doing it with 6 cones any different? No, Jess, if you can do it with 2 cones, 6 cones is going to make it really easy for you. So yeah, I know you're doing the right thing there. Sing, my road test is in 2 days. I feel fairly confident, just need a little more parallel parking practice. And that is awesome, my friend. Good luck on your driver's test. You're going to do great. My friend Epic, another thing that you can do in order to pass the road test for the first time is going to a driving school, regular lessons. Then on the day of the road test, take their road test. Service includes review. Yes, if you take a package with a driving school, you will use their vehicle on road test day, and there will be a warm-up of usually an hour, 45 minutes to an hour prior to your test. So you'll go out for that warm-up, and then you'll go into the DMV and do your driver's test in their vehicle. So know that if you take a package with a driving school. Moron, I picked up so many bad habits on the tractor, but lots of skill. Yes. But it comes down to, if you're driving another type of vehicle, that you have those abilities with the primary controls, the gas pedal, the steering wheel, and the brake. And you learn where the vehicle is in space and place. In other words, you learn where your vehicle is in relation to other things on the roadway, other road users, vulnerable road users, parked cars, fixed objects, those types of things. So all of that is important for learning how to drive and getting the skills and abilities to be successful on passing your driver's test. Garden State, my sister-in-law failed her road test because of using the wrong blinker when making a turn. That seems insignificant. I don't know what else. Something else must have happened because that's just one thing. Taylor, how should you respond when a car is merging towards your car, especially on a 2-lane road? So usually what I would do, Taylor, is, give a tap on the horn to alert the other driver what's going on. But, if they're beginning to merge into your lane, oftentimes if you just tap the horn and you start moving over a little bit, not too much, as much as you need to avoid contact with them, that will usually alert the other driver to the fact that they're moving into your space. And the other piece of this as well is, don't go crazy, because I've seen many crashes where there's a sideswipe crash, there's an imminent kind of sideswipe crash, and then drivers crank the wheel to avoid the sideswipe, and they end up crossing lanes of traffic and coming into oncoming traffic and experiencing a head-on crash. And I will tell you, from a defensive driving point of view, if you have a choice between a sideswipe crash and a head-on crash, take the sideswipe crash every day of the week, because you are most likely to survive a sideswipe crash with no damage or with no injury to you, just property damage to the vehicles. In a head-on crash, you're probably not going to survive. And there's a story, a journalist, and I would need to look up the story right now. Maybe Corey can find it, or Corey can remember the story about the journalist that wrote about being involved in a car crash. And that's exactly what happened to him. Somebody merged out beside him in a potential sideswipe crash. He cranked the steering wheel and ended up in a head-on crash, and he crashed. He was in a car, crashed into a jacked up 350 truck, and unfortunately the front of the truck came right over the hood of the car and pushed the dash down and crushed his lower extremities. So again, from a defensive driving standpoint, pick the sideswipe crash every day of the week. Do not crank the wheel. Do not oversteer into oncoming traffic, because head-on crashes are far, far worse than a sideswipe crash ever will be. Joe, when pulling out of a parking spot when you're stuck between two big vehicles, remember that SAFE stands for stop and first evaluate, like Al Pacino said in Any Given Sunday, inch by inch. Absolutely. Great advice there, Joe. Thank you. Crystal, hi, Rick. How are you? My driving practice is going well. That is awesome, Crystal. Thank you so much. Gamer, I did my parallel with about 8 cones. I thank you again for your videos helping my second test. I did so well. My mom told me I did, as I'd been doing it for years. Thanks. I got my license, and that is awesome. Gamer, congratulations on passing your driver's test. What did you and your mom do to go and celebrate? I'm always interested in seeing what people did to go and celebrate. Garden State, true, she doesn't recall anything else, but she must have made some mistakes. Yeah, because Garden State, signaling in the wrong direction is not a huge mistake. And, because drivers are nervous on a test, driving examiners expect that kind of thing, and they're not gonna fail you for that. That's, there must have been some other mistakes as well. Tyler, I take my retake driver's test next week. I passed the on-road test, but still have trouble with the maneuverability part. I am in Ohio. I'm super excited to try again, but still nerves about it. Tyler, as the advice that I gave there previously about the maneuverability test, stay tight to the driver's side. Go slow, observe, be looking around the vehicle. You can use your mirrors. You can look at your backup camera, but go slow and stay tight to the driver's side. If you stay tight to the driver's side, the passenger side will take care of itself. Sam, you have to react fast. If you see a car coming at you, we'll definitely go for that side swipe. Yeah, I would rather have a side swipe crash than a head-on crash for sure. Gamer, she helped me purchase beer for the first time, and I went out with my friends. All right, that's awesome, Gamer. That's absolutely awesome. We're not going to mention anything with age and drinking limits and those types of things, but that's really great. I'm happy to hear that you were drinking responsibly. That's, not drinking and driving. That's really great. The other thing that happened this week was I put up a poll on cruise control, and I'm always interested with cruise control because cruise control is one of those things that a very small percentage of drivers absolutely love cruise control. I'm in that small percentage of drivers who absolutely love cruise control. And then there's a whole host, like probably 80% of drivers who, there's a whole, of course, there's a gray area. I think the gray area runs kind of the 20% to the 40%. And then the other 60% of drivers are like, no, it's the worst thing ever invented. So I sometimes wonder when I do these responses, these polls on cruise control, and drivers respond, that I'm thinking it's kind of a waste of money for auto manufacturers to be putting cruise control on cars, because so many people, like very few people, use cruise control on their car, which is interesting. Whereas me, I wouldn't purchase a vehicle that didn't have cruise control on it, because, especially on long trips, it's just, it's trying to hold down that fuel pedal is just crazy. And when I was driving truck, because, you're driving 8, 10, 12 hours a day, I used to have a saying that when I get it wound up and get it on cruise control, I will run over you before I take this thing off cruise control, because it's just so much work. So, if you want to see that poll, you want to respond to that poll, it's on the community tab here on the YouTube channel. Definitely have a look at that. And if you have any suggestions for polls, you're watching here on the live stream or you're watching on the replay, definitely leave a comment down in the comment section there, and we'll put up a poll if you want to know something about driving, because I'm always looking for new topics for Saturday. The other interesting one, I did one last week on manual versus automatic transmissions, and obviously most of the respondents are from North America, and 80% of people, according to the 1,100 people that responded to the poll, more than 80% of people in North America are driving automatic cars. So there's very few manual transmissions left for sure. Jonathan, hello Rick, long time no see, come in to say hello. I want to drop in to tell you I'm training to be a bus operator for the MTA in New York City with a Class AM license with heavy endorsement. That is awesome, Jonathan. Congratulations. And Corey's put up the video there on how to use cruise control. If you want to know more about that, have a look. Whit Hastings speeding car shook my car like a freight train. I'm not sure what that is, Corey. I'll have a look at that. I don't think that's the article. I think I'll have to have a look and put it up. I'll stick it up on the community tab for sure. Term, hey, I passed my drive test first time. Thank you for your help. You are most welcome, my friend. So glad that we could help. And one of the other things that I will mention about passing a driver's test is there's the major components of driving test, okay? Speed and space management, observation and communication. Those are the 4 components of any driver's test anywhere in the world, regardless of what class of license you're going for. The other piece of that is social driving. This is what you're up against, and this is what I talked about initially at the beginning of the presentation on passing your driver's test. If you drive the way that everybody else is driving on the roadway, you're not going to be successful on your driving test, because some of the hallmarks of social driving are that people don't signal, they don't come to a complete stop at stop signed intersections, they keep up with traffic flow, which is higher than the posted speed limit, they drive over painted islands, they don't give way, they cut you off, they follow too close. Those are just a few of the many hallmarks of social driving. So this is the challenge that you're up against when you're preparing and learning how to drive and preparing to pass the driver's test. So you can't do any of that. So space management is your first tool in terms of being successful on passing your driver's test and being a safer, smarter driver. Staying back approximately 1 vehicle length from the vehicle in front of you when you're stopped in a queue of traffic. You want to be able to see the tires of the vehicle in front, making clear contact with the pavement. That's your landmark. Stopping at the correct position at stop signed intersections, controlled intersections overall, stop line before the crosswalk lines or the sidewalk. Those 2 conditions don't exist. Then at the edge of the road where the 2 roads meet, so just before entering the intersection. You need to have a 2 to 3 second following distance for the duration of your driver's test. Don't enter an intersection you can't clear. Okay, so if traffic is heavy and it's congestion and it's backed up, wait for the traffic to clear and then proceed through the intersection. So that's space management, speed management, the flow of traffic, or the traffic flow, whichever is less, and don't dawdle, okay? Driving 5 kilometers an hour, 5 miles an hour less than the speed limit is not you being cautious on a driver's test. It's just as bad going too slow as it is going too fast on a driver's test, so know that. Then you must observe correctly. Going forward, you must have a forward scanning pattern. Far down the road in checking your instrument panel. Far down the road in check your center mirror. Far down the road and then one wing mirror and then the other wing mirror. The scanning pattern is tied into your speed control. And you have to repeat this every 12 to 15 seconds. If you're not adjusting your speed every 12 to 15 seconds, that tells the driving examiner that you're not observing properly. All right, shoulder check, shoulder check, shoulder check for the purposes of turning and changing directions of the vehicle. Every time you turn, you have to have 2 shoulder checks, one approximately half a block before the turn and one at the intersection immediately before turning. 2 shoulder checks for lane changes. Then in reversing, you have to do a 360-degree scan around the vehicle, make sure there's nobody around, and then backing up, you have to look out through the back window. You can use a backup camera, you can use your mirrors, but you can't use them as your primary line of sight for observing, okay, and reversing. And there's a video here on the channel. Corey, I'll put that up for you on correct reversing for the purposes of your driver's test. Communicating. You have to communicate effectively with other traffic. And you must observe and you must understand what other drivers are doing, because the number one way that we communicate with other traffic on the roadway is the position of our vehicle or the position of the road user on the roadway or along the roadway. And look at the video I put up 2 weeks ago where the pedestrian was walking along the road and I knew that the pedestrian was going to cross the road. So you can predict traffic patterns and you can interpret the individual actions of road users along the roadway. The second way, lights and signals. And then if once you use those two ways, the horn, eye contact, or hand gestures, and don't tell other road users they're number one on driver's test, you won't be successful. So, space management, speed management, observation, and communication are the 4 cornerstones of any driving test and the 4 cornerstones of you being a safer, smarter driver every day that you're on a roadway. And then finally, develop habits that will keep you safe. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, next month, next year, but in a couple of years, 3 years, if you develop those habits where you're shoulder checking every time you change direction of the vehicle, you're shoulder checking every time you turn, or you're signaling even in a parking lot when you're reversing or going forward, it's going to keep you safe because you have to be consistent in your safe, smart driving habits, abilities, and skills. If you're picking and going, oh, I'm in a parking lot, I don't have to signal here, eventually you're going to stop doing it and you're just going to be part of the social driving arena that everybody participates in, and they're going to be cussing and swearing at you and going, you didn't signal, you crazy person. So know that for the purposes of being a safer, smarter driver and passing your driver's test first time. Jonathan, I hope you still remember me. I used to come to your streams each week. I wanted to let you know I passed my MTA's road test on their transit bus this past Friday. That's awesome. Congratulations, Jonathan. I definitely remember you, Jonathan. Awesome contributor here in the Smart Driver community. Mallory, anytime I have sat in the driver's seat is just to take pictures of me sitting in the driver's seat. That's awesome. Thanks so much, Mallory. Gamer, for my girl Jess, if I can't see until I'm in the middle of the road at an intersection for cars coming from my left, coming out of an alleyway, then what do I do? Park cars to my left. Gamer, you just, like, as I said, you got to go slow. You're not going to be in the middle of the intersection. The cars can only park up to the box of the intersection, and you're only going to have your nose into the intersection, and you are going to be able to see past those cars. So you're not going to be in the middle of the intersection. The nose of your vehicle will be in, but again, just inching out. You do not want to proceed until you can see. So you got to inch out. Cooking, is it bad if I already know the driving route from friends telling me, and will the instructor tell me ahead of time because I don't want to mess up and go past where I should be going? All right. There's a funny story about that, Jess. There was a student at a driving school where he was taking his driving instruction. The driving instructors only took the students on the precise route that they were going to drive for the purposes of their driver's test. So driving test day comes, the student goes out and they're driving along, and about halfway through the driving test, there's construction along the driving test route. And the examiner says to the student, I want you to turn right here at the next intersection. And of course, the student is a foreign student and doesn't speak English well. And the student says, no, we not turn here. We go straight. So again, we come back to the fact that your job on a driving test is to demonstrate to the examiner you have due care and control of the vehicle in changing traffic conditions. And Corey will put up the video for you on unexpected events that may happen during your driving test. One of those is construction, crashes, and congestion. You could have any one of those things that happen as an unexpected event during your driving test, and you have to deal with that. It doesn't matter if you know where the driving test is. Most of us who take driver training or we teach other students, we know that we're taking them on the test route. That's okay, you know where the test route is. But remember, every DMV, every driving instructor has access to 5, 6, 8, 10 routes if you're in a car that they can take you on, and there are different places where they can get you to do the maneuvers and those types of things. So it may not be the same route. There may be variances where you go and what you do and those types of things. Okay. Chris, all right, I'm going to go and eat. Have a good night. You too as well, my friend. All the best. Jonathan, I love to shift gears while driving my car. It makes driving more interesting than automatics. You and me as well, Jonathan. Although you can get an automatic with paddle shifters, and then that makes the world a whole different interesting ball game. That's for sure. Jonathan, now I'm qualified for their live line training. I will be training to drive all the MTA model buses. The road test made me feel nervous, like as when I was trying to get my licenses. Awesome. Tremendous. Mallory, have a driver's commentary can also help you out when you're doing your driver's test or just driving in everyday life. No, Mallory, that is an excellent point. Having a running commentary is an excellent technique and skill that you can use for the purposes of passing your driver's test. And I encourage all drivers who are taking a driving test to use a running commentary. I know most people feel a little bit stupid or silly. Not stupid. Nobody should ever feel stupid or made to feel stupid. And anybody ever makes you feel that way, simply don't let them. Commentary helps you to identify the skills and abilities that you need to have in place for the purposes of passing your driver's test. As well, if you're doing it on your driving test, the examiner doesn't have to guess what you're looking at or what you're thinking or what you're preparing to do. All right, so it'll really help you out. Curtis, how do I look up the route for the Ohio driver's test? Curtis, just Google around. I don't know. Ask your friends where the route is. Most routes are not readily available unless you go and work with a driving instructor. Okay. As well, for those of you watching now, watching on the replay, consider the Pass Your Driver's Test First Time course package over at the Smart Drive Test website, guaranteed to pass your driver's test first time. As well, we throw in both the winter and defensive driving smart courses. Yes, it's winter driving. It's not winter driving right now because we're going into spring here in the Northern Hemisphere. However, all of the skills and techniques in the winter driving course will help you with inclement weather, driving in hail, rain, wind, forest fire, smoke, those types of things. So that is a really handy course. So check that out. You can pick it up over at the Smart Drive Test website for about $38 US, the Smarter Driver course package. Corey's put up those other videos for you on running commentary and the 10 tricky things that could present themselves on a driver's test and give you grief. So have a look at those. Samuel, could you please help me on the curbside parking and wide turn? I failed twice. Thank you from Nova Scotia. Curbside parking and wide turns. Okay, so Samuel, you need to focus on the slow speed maneuvers. Get those 1 meter, 3 foot tall delineators. Do some of the slow speed maneuvers, and all of that will help you out with passing your driver's test and doing that parking and whatnot. Big Mac Sam, good night, my friend. All the best. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's always a pleasure, my friend. Gamer was just trying to help Jess out since she plans to go for her test soon. Help wording things better for her. Yes, no, not a worry at all. Thanks so much for helping, and that's definitely what we're doing here. The Smarter Driver community helps everybody, and we all learn from each other. There's definitely a lot of information out there, so definitely help that out. Thank you for helping out. Jess, my first driving test is next week. I probably will fail. Jess, no. No, I'm going to pass. Don't say that. I say this to my daughter all the time. The world will beat you up. Okay? Positive self-talk. The world will do all of that negative talk. You need positive self-talk. I'm going to pass. I'm going to do what I need to do to pass my driver's test first time. Okay? So let's change your language, change your world. Okay? And you're going to be great. Ava, how do I not hit the curb in parallel parking? Practice. Have a look at the video. That will definitely help you out. Ava as well. Zaki, passed my driver's test in New York. Thank you for your videos. You are most welcome, my friend. Liberalist, my test is on Wednesday in Calgary. I'm already feeling the anxiety. Remember to breathe. It'll bring oxygen into your body and cause your body to relax. You're going to do awesome, my friend. Joe, thanks again for all the great info, Rick. Some really helpful tips this week. I'll have a check out your cruise control poll. Have a fabulous week, everyone. You as well, Joe. Paula, thanks for the great service. Are you doing us good night? Thank you, Paula, and you are most welcome. You passed the driver's test in the last couple of weeks. Congratulations on passing your driver's test. If you haven't celebrated yet, be sure to celebrate. You only pass your driver's test one time. It's never the same after that, even if you go and get a CDL license. And if you have a driver's test coming up this week, good luck on that. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great night. Bye now. With the Smarter Driver podcast, we provide the stepping stones towards your success in driving. We empower you to achieve your goals and aspirations as they relate to getting your first license, becoming a safer, smarter driver, or starting a career as a truck or bus driver. If you're just starting out and working towards getting your first license, be sure to check out the Smarter Driver course package down in the description. Guaranteed to pass first time. As well, if there's something about driving that just really irks you and you'd like to get it off your chest, please leave a comment. I'm your host, Dr. Rick August. Thanks very much for listening. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great day. Bye now.